This is how I negotiated my dream six-figure role and also some interview tips on how to land yours. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayla. If you don't know, I am just a 20-something-year-old figuring out her life and sharing my tips and tricks along the way. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how I negotiated my dream six-figure role, and if you're new here, you probably should check out how I landed my dream six-figure role, which is right here, posted previously. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into the video. I also have some really good interview tips that I think will be able to help land your dream six-figure role. Let's start with having the audacity to negotiate. It is critical that you negotiate your careers. 9 times out of 10, majority of the time, companies are not going to offer what they think you deserve. That's not because the company hates you. It's simply just because I guess that's how companies work, to be honest. And it is up to you to represent yourself and to fight for what you deserve via negotiation. And so anytime you get something, I am a firm believer, negotiate for more. If this is what they are offering you, trust and believe that there is a little bit more on the table, or there could be a whole lot on the table. I heard a ton of people not advise me to actually negotiate my first job because a lot of people will hear these really big companies or these big names and feel like, oh my God, just be grateful, just take it. No. Negotiate. You are just as deserving of being there and getting what you earn, just as that company is rightfully valued at what they are at. It doesn't make you less, and it doesn't mean you should settle for less just because the company has a big name. And that is exactly why I negotiated my dream role, even when I got it. Let's start with negotiation power and why I had negotiation power. If you don't know, negotiation power is essentially these levers that you can pull or leverage to your benefit to be able to make a case as to why you deserve more. For me, I was able to do this through 3 main things. The first thing being certificates, the second thing being through experience, and the third thing being through other job offers. Now, let's talk about how you should actually go about your negotiation. I believe that you should research what the average salary is. For me, I did the exact same thing. I looked at where I would be living because I was relocating, so it's important that you consider where you're going to be living in terms of what you are aiming to negotiate for. Obviously, if you are going to be living somewhere in California or New York, you should be looking at what it costs to do those roles there because the cost of living is much more pricey. For me personally, I did that research in California, specifically the Bay, because that's exactly where I would be moving if I took this role. It is critical that you do not go into a negotiation blind. You have to be able to point out facts. People cannot argue with facts as easily as they can argue with opinions. It's very different from saying that I feel like I deserve 10K more versus actually doing the research and saying, hey, based on this job title in this location, I see that the average cost to do this job is X and X amount. Therefore, for me to be comfortable living there and relocating there, I would need $10,000 more. Those are 2 different things. In one case, you're presenting facts which help create a better story that people can't really argue it, and the other, you're kind of just using your feelings and your opinion. Outside of providing the facts for my company, which was the fact that I would be relocating and the cost of living there, I also provided some certificates, which I had gotten in college. I definitely recommend if you are in college and your university offers them that you get some certificates. A lot of universities partner with these online educational platforms to create certificates in certain things. I know for me, I got a few of them in like different processes in terms of business. I think some like coding you can get them in, different things like that. And I can't remember exactly like the names of the certificates that I had, but they were definitely in that realm of business processes and like coding and different platforms of that sort. And so yeah, I got about like 3 to 5 of those, and I definitely think they helped build my case as to why I was a valuable professional who deserved more. The other negotiation power that I had was the fact that I already had experience in procurement, specifically in supply chain management. The fact that I got internships in my undergrad that actually aligned with what I was going to be a professional in my full-time career actually built a case for me already having real-world experience in this job. For me, in this case, I believe I had 6 months of experience technically because I had 2 different internships, one spring and one fall in procurement at United States Steel, which helped build the case that I already had some real-world experience in supply chain management. And therefore you can leverage that in your negotiation as well, because it's not like you're coming in with nothing. If you've already done something or sort of, you know, what you're going to be doing your full-time career in, then you already have experience, including those internships. Number 3, and what I think helped the most, was definitely having other job offers. If you watch my other video on how I landed my dream role at 6 figures at 20 years old, then you know that I had a ton of other job offers. And I think this played a very big role in me being able to leverage them for this job, because it's not like I'm coming to the table with nothing. I'm coming to the table with some options. And so if you are a company and you want this professional, then you want to provide them a better case as to why they shouldn't go over there and why they should come to your company. I think the art of negotiating with a company when it comes to job offers is all about what you've built yourself to be as a professional. And obviously, coming out of undergrad, that is much harder. You don't have a ton of real world experience as you already have as somebody, you know, in the career field, but it's not that you don't have any. Again, I was able to do this with the fact that I had certificates. I was able to do this with the fact that I had internships, and I was able to do this with the fact that I had other job offers. These are not major things that I went out of my way to do, but they were added things that I did take the time to do. And that's why I think it's so important that when you are pursuing your professional career, that you're not just thinking about this one thing, but you're thinking about the overall scope of yourself as a professional. Like, what overall story are you looking to tell? Are you going to be a well-rounded individual in a career field, or are you going to be somebody that only has, you know, one job offer and you just hope that you get it, you know? So think about all these different factors that definitely play a role in negotiation. For me, I was able to negotiate for a higher salary and additional stock units through using this overall compelling story between the fact that I was moving and that it would be a higher cost of living, to the fact that I had certificates, that I had internships, and that I had other job offers. Again, it's not just about the big things. It's also about what you do on the small end. What are you doing in college? If you can, get some extra certificates. Use this time wisely, because it can definitely help build your professional ability as you get older. Now let's get into tips that got me the offer. Because again, none of this really matters if you don't do a good interview. You know, you get the offer after the interview. So let's talk interview skills. The first thing is going to be the STAR method. And I know you're probably tired of hearing about this method. You're like, oh my God, how good could it be? Let me tell you, it's a phenomenal method, not only because it helps you organize your thoughts in a way that you can easily and clearly communicate to the hiring person or whomever you're speaking to, but it also is how a lot of companies already have their brain structured. Like, when they're talking to you, they're kind of already looking for the STAR method. They're not looking to piece your story together to make it sellable. You already have to come with a comprehensive, clear way of communicating whatever question that they gave you. And so this is very critical, I think, in terms of using the STAR method. Number 2, pre-write your answers to a lot of these common interview questions. For me, I realized very early on when I was interviewing that I was getting a lot of the same questions, or they would be like the same thing, but like basically like a few words switched around. You can honestly like find this on Google, like what are the most common like 10 or 15 interview questions, and go ahead and like pre-write these answers on a document. That's what I did, and I practiced with it. I was in the mirror talking to myself, answering these questions clearly, because you want to get comfortable in how you interview. I think one of the biggest factors that comes into interviewing is being comfortable. Nobody wants to hire somebody that looks scared, or, you know, that looks like they can't, you know, speak clearly. Like, the way that you get around this is honestly getting in a mirror, practicing your answers, and getting more and more comfortable with doing interviews. The third thing, ask questions at the end. I know you've heard that, I'm sure you've heard that, but it really does help make a difference. Asking about the culture, asking about how you would be a good fit, asking about what makes a successful X and X role here is really critical. You want to show the company that you're not just thinking of yourself, but you're thinking of them. For me, when I did a lot of my interviews, I would always ask about the culture. How does the culture work? What are some long-term goals that the company is working on? What are some internal initiatives that the company is reaching to? What does success look like on this team? All of these questions back to them allow them to, for one, give you some insight on what it would look like if you're actually there and you do get hired. And for two, it shows that you're interested back in them. In a way, I feel like interviewing is almost like, it's like a relationship aspect. Like the world is relationships between friendships, romantic, acquaintances, and jobs, right? These are all interpersonal relationships. And it's the same thing with interviewing. You're not, talking to somebody for a date, but in a sense, you're building a relationship with them. And so you treat it accordingly. accordingly. You treat it with confidence, you treat it with genuine interest, you treat it with clear communication, and as long as you have a level mind and you're keeping it clear when you approach it in terms of thinking that this is, important and I'm here to build something long term, I definitely think you can be successful in interviewing. So to wrap it up, negotiation power comes from leverage. Look at the things that you've done that you will be able to leverage to build a case as to why you deserve more, whether that is prior work experience, whether that is extra certificates, whether that is the fact that the tax rate in California is crazy and you want to make sure that your salary accommodates for that. Whatever the case is, build your case and understand it through and through, so when these companies come to you, you can very clearly explain why you deserve more, because trust and believe you do. The second thing, interview tips. Understand the STAR method. Get very confident and comfortable in answering these questions, whether that's you practicing in a mirror or with a friend. And the third thing, ask really good questions back. Show that you're interested. Come with confidence. Come with knowing that you are not just there because you are desperate for a job, but come because you deserve to be there. You offer something. You are a great employee. All of these things together definitely help make a really good interviewer, in my opinion. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I will be sure to answer them in my next video.